Hi everyone, Victoria here. I've been trying to make this video, but I didn't want to make it just abruptly. For those that don't know me, I am an empath. That does not mean an empathetic person. Please look up Hyoka empaths. Right now I am talking to the general public, and I'm also talking to other fellow empaths as well as light workers like myself. For 9/11 being one of the topics I wanted to discuss, no one talked about it. No one that I know talked about it. And I don't think that should be forgotten. I'm not trying to guilt anyone, by the way. I'm just saying we cannot forget. And that's why, and I know it's going to sound political and religious as well, so be forewarned. You can always scroll away. That's why I was doing commentary. I was doing reaction videos, because as a light worker, yeah, it not only irked me, it hurt me to see what the human race, some subhumans, were doing to the rest of the human race. And I stopped doing reaction videos right before this all happened. And I can't expect people born after 9/11 or people that were maybe 5 years old when 9/11 happened to remember, and for it to be etched in your psyche like it is for me and others, especially those who lost friends or family members, wives, husbands, children to that tragedy. And yes, I believe very much so in having closed borders. Every country that I've ever traveled to has had closed borders. I'm not going to get on a soapbox. I'm just going to say there are many that hate Americans and America. So that's a really good reason to have a closed border. Going to the second topic, which is why my face is all red. I tried. I want to give my condolences to Charlie Kirk's wife and his children that he leaves behind. He was one of the people who were the epitome of what it's like to bring news to the masses without the legacy media getting involved. So it was a one-on-one. It was the man on the street. It was direct and in your face, but it was the truth, not watered down and not sugar-coated, and it certainly wasn't manipulated. Now this is where religion comes into play. For many who are Christians, yeah, it's a persecution. It is. I don't sugarcoat anything in my videos. I think you know that by now if you've watched me before. Charlie was targeted and sought out personally. That shot from 400 feet, I'm going to tell you something that you may or may not already know. Those in the military or prior military, yeah, I could shoot and hit a target at 500 feet. So this person was very well trained. It's a tragedy. Too many people are leaving us too soon. But, or should I say, however, I do appreciate the legacy he left behind. Speaking the truth, there are only two genders. I am so sorry if you're someone who's come into this lifetime and felt like you don't belong in the body that God chose for you. And whatever mission or lesson, life lesson, you came here, or karma that you came here to burn off. These are just my opinions. So as I stated, you're more than welcome to scroll away. That is your choice, and you have free will. But for those like myself who don't necessarily practice religion, but are spiritual and spiritually inclined, we understand that you may feel like you don't belong in a body. It could have been a past life that you're remembering. I mean, even the Bible talks about the fact that we have incarnation. Jesus was the first to have done it in the human race's, I guess you could say, existence on written record, but the point is reincarnation exists. I'm not going to get too far into that. But I say all that to say nobody's against you. If you're an adult and you choose to do whatever, that is between you and God, because Judgment Day only comes for each and every individual in a very unique way. And so we're not here to judge you. Please know that this is not a video on judging you. However, do I hate what happened? Yes. Do I want to hate the person that shot him? Yes. Just as much as I want to hate the person that stabbed that young lady on the subway. And that nobody, no one, having so many men around that could have gotten up and restrained that man and possibly saved her, at least even after he did what he did to her, did not happen. People are complacent. People are, I'm going to look away because you know what? It's none of my business. No, it's not until it's in your face and it's happening to you or your family, your loved ones. The human race is in trouble. So now is when I switch this up. I was going to do tarot today. I can't because I'm both angry at the fact that someone, simply because, pardon me, we're stating truths, that there's only two genders, and that none of this is politically inclined. It was someone's persuasion. And to top it all off, it's the majority of the persuasion in America, what Charlie Kirk was about. Yes, there are some on the left that feel this way, that were at every turn trying to nitpick and fight battles that didn't need to be fought, and dividing us as a race, which is a human race, more and more each day. I'd like for that to stop. But because I know better, we're in the thick of it. This is why we came. Now is when I turn. Before I do that, I'd like to say, I cannot hate the man that shot him or stabbed that young woman, because then I'm taking their karma on. I'm not going to do that as a light worker. But what I am going to say is, for those two individuals and anyone that can kill in cold blood or in the name of their God and their belief system for no apparent reason other than they can, may God's judgment and wrath be upon you. Because I know that God can do what we can't. God can pronounce judgment on you that we cannot, which is even worse than a lifetime in prison or a death sentence. Now is when I turn my direction back to the light workers. First, I'm going to talk about the ones I'm ashamed of. And yeah, if you want to feel like I am judging you, I guess it is what it is. Take it with, if you know, you know. If the shoe fits, it fits. I've heard some people online, on YouTube, on TikTok, Facebook, saying that everybody should be inclusive. No. If God wanted everybody to be inclusive in that way, then he would have stated that. But he didn't. And I know you can turn that finger right back at me as someone who does tarot, and you know what? I accept it. Because like I said, on Judgment Day, I'm the one that's going to have to answer if this is wrong, what I do tarot-wise. But I will say that I know my role. I know my mission. And I've known it since 2012. So You're not here to just be inclusive. You're inclusive as in you love everyone the same, even when they are faltering, even when they're going down the wrong road, even when their ideology is off big time. Like they didn't even go left. They just went off the map. You still love those people and you pray for those people. But you don't condone what they do, because things like this is what happens. See something, say something. It's always been that way. When did it change? When did the family of this young man, for example, didn't find it in their brains to not only talk to clergy, but to talk to the law? I'm sorry, I have 2 sons, and I am blessed, and I thank my God above that I've never had to deal with them being incarcerated, or especially for doing things that are harmful against the human race. Some parents are not as lucky, and I'm not talking to those that did everything right, but if you know someone's about to do something and you don't say something, you're just as guilty as they are. Back to the light workers. I'm ashamed that you have God-given abilities, and you know that every day you're supposed to be praying for the human race. Every day you're supposed to be shining your light and your love, because that's the beacon and that's the energy that needs to be sent out. Not because I'm going to pamper everybody and baby everybody and make sure everybody feels like it doesn't matter what they're doing in life, judgment free. That's between God and them. But at the same time, if it's happening to a child, anybody under 18, yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I have qualms about that. Even if it's not my child, it takes a village, as they say, to raise children properly. Otherwise, they end up like this 22-year-old that ended up taking his anger at life and the fact that he was not integrating into life, I'm sure, correctly, was part of his anger. To get involved in all these things that had Antifa and everything else on those shells. You're here to create a beacon and to create a halo, if you will, over everyone, to calm the temperature. Whether that's in the room, whether that's in your community, whether that's in your city, your town, your country, wherever you are, because there's not just light workers in America. God spread us through all of the world as we know it. It's more than time for you to pick up your banner and actually wear it proudly, and to heck with what anybody thinks about you, because it only matters that God gave you those abilities and that you're using them for the greater good. I just told someone recently, you have to be able to help at least one other person when you help yourself. When you're doing something with your abilities that helps you, you have to be helping at least one other person that's going to benefit in a positive way. Because our gifts are not so we can get rich schemes fast. Now, don't get me wrong. For many a year, I was taught, you've got to be poor, you've got to be humble, you've got to pretty much be a pauper. I am not saying that. Please do not be a pauper. Let me tell you why. Because when you do things like that, you can't help anybody, because you can't even help yourself. So the people that were teaching me, mentoring me like that, were dead wrong. The more you have, the more that you can have for yourself and bless others at the same time. I used to bless people when I had lots of money to just pretty much disposable income, as they say. I used to bless people left and right and never ask for it in return, because it was just for me as a giving, because I had it. So why not? So yes, the more you have, if you think in an unselfish way and not greedy, yes, to bless others as well. But you need to go back to building the energy grids. You need to go back to holding meditations. You have to go back to calling on people through these medias, which are so beautiful because it costs you nothing to get on here and talk to people that are across the world. I have people from India, I have people from Canada, I have people from Spain, I have people from Brazil, etc., that watch me from time to time. And so you're just spreading your seeds, you're planting seeds for them to take root and grow. As much as they're sowing their seeds of evil and wickedness and hate, you've got to sow 3 positive seeds to counter their 1. Because they can go home and sleep at night. That young man went home to his family. And thanks be to God that they had a conscience or a break of conscience and they called the authorities. But what if they wouldn't have? It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm going to say that again for people sitting in the back pew. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So you need to do your job. You don't do your job? That's okay. You're giving us more to do? That's okay. You can't carry the load that God gave you. You backslide. You just decided to renege. You just decided that your gifts that God gave you were strictly for you. And I know there are a lot of people that are tarot readers that are really good people and get on here to try to give good, sound advice. I'm not really talking to you if you feel like that is your platform is your way of helping people. But I am asking you, if nothing else in silence, take 5 minutes out of your busy week. 5 minutes is all it takes. Sit in quiet contemplation if you don't know how to meditate, and just start growing that energy grid, because that's why God gave you that light. That's why. Or do you just come on to YouTube and announce love and light, and it's just from the teeth out, like they say, it's just from the mouth out, but you don't really feel it and you don't really own it. Some of you might at this point go, gosh darn, she's either crazy or she's mean as hell. No, I'm tired. I'm tired of being complacent myself. I'm tired of seeing complacency by people that are, oh, that is wrong. You know, God doesn't. If God didn't hate all those things, and if they were not being an abomination, then I don't think he would have mentioned it. He made man for woman and woman for man. Because when he created everything, there were found none to be the man's companion. And that's how he created Eve. Now, some of us out there believe that Lilith first came, and then he created Eve, because Lilith was not compliant. Lilith was not a good fit for Adam. And some of us believe that no, there was never the second Eve, there was never a Lilith. Okay, whichever way you believe it, it really doesn't matter. I'm just saying. Even Lilith was female. Just saying. For those of us that do believe. And I'm not sitting here in judgment of what you believe as far as your religion. I'm just saying, if your religion allows you to kill at any moment, at any time, every day of the week, that ends with a Y, I have a problem. I have a problem with that. Especially if you're a light worker. Because that means that you are like the fallen angels. And you're not quite human all the way, are you? Otherwise you wouldn't have all these gifts. But instead of helping humanity, this is what you do. You're allowing it. You're allowing it. You're complacent. You wanted to know what your mission was? You got it, Toyota. Here you go. The rest is between you, God, and the archangels of light. You need to pray. You need to meditate. You need to ask for things to be clarified, for things to be visually seen by you, signs and signals, which way you got to go, because each of us has a divine mission, but it's unique in some sort. We're not all healers. We're not all seers, etc. I got the whammy. I'm an empath, which means my face is all red because I feel what happened to him as if he were my family. And it hurts. And it's just going to, I'm sorry, things like this are going to continue. And other things that are just as atrocious. You need to get back to praying. And as I stated in another video, if I had a religion, because I've studied many, it would be called God, because he's always existed. So you're either going to step up to the plate and start praying and start creating those energy grids like we were doing in 2012, 2008, 2012, 2015, or you're not. But if you renege, you do not get to graduate. I've been very fortunate to be able to use many tools, I'll just put it that way, that I had when I was not in flesh. And I'm grateful to God. But I can tell you that those archangels of light are very busy at this time. And with good reason, right? So do your part is what I'm saying. Do your part. If you could only pray for your family and maybe their friends, great. If you can pray for a congregation that you belong to, great. If you can pray for your county, fantastic. The way I used to pray, and this is just a suggestion, if you'd like to use it, great. If you don't, don't. When I would sit in contemplation, meditation, and prayer, I would first fill my home with love and light, and positive energy, blessings of what we need and what we'd like to have. And then I would extend the energy further and further and further out. And then I would go into the state, and then I would go into other states, all through the United States, and then I would go into other countries. And if I had to go on different levels and dimensions, then I would do that at that time too. Because remember, we are functioning still in the 3D. But light workers, you should be functioning in the 5D as much as possible. Which means that silver cord that even the Bible talks about, the silver cord that connects you. Like I said, that's your internet. That is your internet. You don't need anything other than that to connect to source. And when I say source, I mean God, Jesus, Christ, whatever you want to call him. You don't need more than your silver cord. We have a special connection because we're constantly able to either astral travel or meditate and leave our bodies and connect that way and go somewhere else. Hopefully where someone else or somewhere else is somewhere holy and divine for you to still have that connection. The truth is, before I reached the age of, I want to say 40, right around my age of about 38, I didn't want to be in my body. I loved being in that connection so much that it was hard for me to want to stay here. And I wasn't suicidal, for those that are thinking that way. I'm sorry to use the S word. I didn't want to unalive myself. It wasn't anything to do with that. It just felt so good to be in divine presence that I didn't want to come back, because it feels so light, and here it's dense and heaviness, because everything here is a lesson. So either you backslide, renege, and use your gifts for yourself, for your own personal gain only, or you're going to step up to the plate and you're going to finally start doing what you were put here to do this lifetime around. The angelics and other beings around cannot help you to do your work unless you ask for help. And the only way to ask for help is either sitting and talking as if you're talking to them, or sitting down and trying to hear something other than your voice inside your own head. Ask for direction. What do I do? What do you need me to do? I'm lost, or I'm not lost, but what do I do now? What do I do next? They will answer you. I promise you, they will answer you if you ask. Don't allow your gift to go by the wayside like that. Don't. It's time. You need to wake up. Red pill, blue pill, black pill that they're talking about nowadays. Whatever dang pill you want. Swallow it and get to work. I love you guys. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, well then that part of the message was not for you. For the light workers, you know who I'm talking to, and you know it's past time. And for those that prefer to use their gifts to bring them lustful things, to bring finances, financial wealth untold to themselves, but you don't want to pick up one little energy cell to help another being in the world, shame on you. Love and light to all. May you be blessed. It doesn't matter if you have religion. It matters that you have God in your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul. Remember, body, mind, spirit, heart, and soul. We've got to be complete. Prayer for those that you don't like. Love them anyway, in a way that doesn't cause you to grow hate, because that just grows and eats you up inside and you get sick physically from that. So don't allow that. Let go and let God. But the rest, light workers out there, healers, empaths, clairvoyants, you need to get to work. You didn't come here to rest. And most of you know what I'm talking about, because there hasn't been a moment rest for those that have really taken this mission seriously. There has not been one moment of peace, because I am not sure why, and I still want to know why they have to talk to us when we're asleep. I haven't slept well since I was 30. So I understand you that are doing what you need to be doing. I am all too sure that you are tired upon exhausted, and at times you probably haven't even had a second wind or time to catch a second wind. I applaud you. Keep going, my brothers and sisters. It's not time to rest. And those that can tap into each other's energy. When you build those energy grids, we can take from that energy, and you can take from our energies when you need it in reserve. That is the only way for us to have success on these missions. Some people have woken up in the last few years and they're angry because they feel like, why do I have to live a life of suffering when others come here and live a lap of luxury? Because that's not your mission. I mean, I don't know how else to tell you. I'm not telling you you need to be impoverished forever. I'm not telling you don't deserve to have everything paid and on time, and not have to be suffering and suffer homelessness or anything like that. I'm not telling you that you have to do that on a permanent. But if it's happened to you, then what did you learn from it? What did you learn you don't want to ever experience again? Dust yourself off and try again. Just like that song says. Ask God to carry your yoke and to allow you to wear His, to take on His when you can't at that moment. But you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And just know that people like me, your sister, I love you. I feel you and I go through it every day. But I still believe in the mission, and I still know that the majority of the human race is worth saving, and it's worth putting our energy into, and it's worth the contract that we signed before we got into that birth canal, and before we said, oh my God, what did I sign up for? What did I sign up for? Sometimes it's easier to take on a mission than to complete it. And anybody out there who's a soldier, who's been in the military, can attest to that has seen more. It is so much easier to sign on the dotted line, yeah, I take this on, than to complete it. So if you're here hearing this message, you have elevated to the point to where now here you go. It's just like on the job training. It's on the job training. We didn't come with a manual. It wasn't until like 30 years after I knew what I was that I started seeing metaphysical stores that spoke about spirituality, and understood why things happened in my life and why I knew or did certain things a certain way. Why I had experiences that others did not. But know that you're not alone. And I'm not just talking about people like me that have been put here. I'm talking about God. God is never going to give you anything that you cannot supersede. He only gives you things that He knows that you already have the courage, the inner strength, and the ability, God-given abilities to use in those situations. So either you can say, woe is me, like the people that I've been hearing, oh, it's our turn, it's our time, and we're going to take what was never given to us. You're not using your gifts the right way. You're using them for selfish gain, and you're seeing yourself, yes, as a Job, which I'm going to give you because I used to be the female Job. So I'm right there with you, brothers and sisters, but I'm going to tell you, you can take the woe is me, I want you to pity me, or you can take the I am so proud to wear His banner. I am so honored that God would bless me with these gifts and would entrust me with praying and spreading love to the human race so that this time around they can survive. Or haven't you read the Bible where there has been endings? We don't want that. We don't want that again. For our children, for our grandchildren, and their children. We don't want that. We don't want that. Love you, and I hope that if nothing else, either this is going to enrage you, especially I'm talking to the light workers, it's either going to enrage you, how dare she tell me what to do. No, I'm telling you what the Creator would like for you to do. And if not, when you go home, I guess you'll see how He really feels about the fact that you didn't do anything that your mission required. And when you do your part of your job, believe it or not, it makes things lighter for us. And that's why I, for one, like to spread that energy grid, because we need to help each other. The darkness is very thick. It's very thick. It's very thick. And it's only going to get worse if you don't start spreading that love light throughout the world. throughout the universe. Love you guys. I know this has been long, but I feel like we need to get back on track. And for those that are on track, God bless you. May the archangels always be by your by your side and guide you, and may you always know that you have that clear connection. Use your silver cord, but also protect yourself, because just like the angelic angels of light are listening, so are the fallen ones. So please protect yourselves. Remember, this is spiritual warfare that has now made it into incarnation, blood, flesh, walking amongst us. Love you guys. Be good to yourselves, be good to others, and spread God's love and light whenever you can. Bye.